Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Wake.Show. I already forgot the intro, how it goes. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Wake.Show. My name is Chris Fisher, along with Samantha Miller. How about that? Want to be formal? We'll be all kinds of formal. Samantha. Now, really, what do your friends call you, Sam or Samantha?
Sam, pretty much.
Sam, okay. Yeah. All right, because I know, you're Samantha at Bake More Pies here, and, Samantha's a little bit more on the formal side. But good morning, Elliot, John. How you doing, Doug? Tim, my wife, Lauren, Martin Guzman, my cousin, Maribel. Hi and welcome. Good morning, you guys. We'll get to stuff you should know here in a couple of minutes. The dogs are not here today because I have a couple of points. Whoops. What are you doing? Remind me later. There we go. Let's get a little close up on Joey. The dogs are not with me. My therapy dogs are not with me today because I've got a couple appointments afterwards. And one of them's stopping by and getting my hair cut. And I know you're like, hey, Fish, man, your hair looks great. You don't need a haircut. It doesn't look bad, but it's getting cut for a wedding that we're going to be in Key Largo for coming up next week. Not this weekend, but next weekend. And so I was going to get my hair. Why am I boring you with these details? I don't even explain to you why it is I need my hair touched up. My hair just needs to get touched up before this wedding, so it's going to happen today. But more importantly, what's happening today in my world, I don't know if I should show you like the full label of this thing because I don't know if there's information on there that you're not supposed to see. But today is Tea Day. Today is on Tuesday. Every other Tuesday is when I stop by the doctor's office and I bring my vial with me of testosterone, and then I drop trow and I lean up against the wall, and I'm not even kidding you. That's how it works. It's not in your arm; it is right in your butt. And get my tee shot. Would you like to see a demonstration of it there, Sam? I'm not going to pull down my pants, but I'll show you the compromising position that I have to get in. Okay? So it's this. It's this right here. Can you still see this? All right. So you lean up against the wall. You lean to one side. You drop one side of your pants, and there you go. That is not a position that I like being in. I feel like a criminal who's already been taken to prison is trapped in the shower. All right. All right. So you didn't miss the intro song. Long time no see, Doug. You didn't miss the intro song. Oh, Sam. I'm so excited. Good morning, everybody. So yesterday I unveiled what our song is going to be. I'm showing you the process on how the intro is going to get made. And then yesterday, Sam, when I went home, I thought of the visual, the animation that goes along with it.
All right.
So here's this. Do you remember the song?
Damn it. Yeah, in my head.
Do you have the tune? What would I do with my phone? Oh, I think I have to pull it back up because I don't remember the tune. Do you remember the tune? I remember the words because it's only a 10-second song. Here we go.
Welcome to the Wake.Show. As everybody knows, a show needs an intro. This is that intro.
Solid right there. That's all it needs to be. That's it right there. We're just going to take this that portion of the show with me holding up my phone to the microphone, put some lettering over it, and there you go. That's the intro to the show.
Perfect.
No, here's what I'm thinking. You know the old bouncing ball thing? Like follow the bouncing ball when you're seeing when you're a little kid and you're watching a television show, or they're trying to teach you something, and they teach you the words to something, and so that little bouncing ball goes. I was thinking, that's what it'll be. It'll be the words, and that little bouncing ball, people won't realize, is actually the dot in the Wake.Show. And so after goes, welcome to the Wake.Show. Everybody knows a show needs an intro. This is that intro. And then that dot, the little bouncing ball, turns into the dot, and the Wake.Show logo goes boom, boom. And then there's this wave, like a wake. It'll leave a wake, that dot, like it's splashing in water. And then the logo will come from that.
That's pretty good.
Oh, I thought you were going to laugh at me.
No, that was pretty good.
Well, so there we go. Now here's going to be the interesting part, because I like that. I think that's a good idea. Mm-hmm. But now I got to take it to chords, because this is where the business partnership will come into play, because that stuff is not free. I can't do that. Can you do that? Can you?
No.
No. And even if you could, you work for Bake More Pies, and we'd have to pay you to do it. So I don't know how much that kind of graphic costs, because this is where that partnership comes into play. And so that would be something that Cords on his end with Bake More Pies would support, right? So it'll be an interesting conversation. I'll go to him with that and I'll go, oh, that sounds good. That would be probably about a $3,000 animation. But if we did it this way, we could get it done for $300 or $30, and that'll end up being the interest. So I don't know how this is going to go, how this is going to play out. I just know that I came up with an idea that I think is going to work, and we'll see.
Perfect.
We'll see. All right. Good morning, James, Jeff, Joe Redner. How are you, sir? Need to have you in on the new show. It has been a long time. So let's go over some of the stuff you should know that we're going to get to today. And how long do I have you for, Sam?
A little bit. I'm trying to do some social stuff.
A little bit? Social stuff? You're being very vague.
I'm just trying to change the descriptions right now.
Okay.
My internet's a little spotty.
All right. Another shot of Joey. There we go. Oh. What a handsome man. What a handsome little boy. My little 4-year-old Yorkie is. And I am kind of sad that the dogs aren't here today because I like to exploit them. You know, I like to use them.
You're like a pageant mom.
Yeah, especially when we get to those stories that aren't, the most positive stories to listen to, but they're the stuff, some of the stuff that you have to get through. I like just to put the cameras on the dogs while they're sleeping, so you can kind of balance the way your blood pressure is raising inside you, and hopefully the visual, the story itself wants to raise your blood pressure, and the visual wants to bring you down. Next thing you know, we're having some kind of a heart attack in unison. So I need to put my testosterone away for now. I should have got this done before the show today. I'd have been a little bit more on my game. I don't want to forget it, though. Where do I put it so I don't forget it? All right. On top of the keys and the... All right. Some of the stories that we will be hitting today. Worst pollen. I wonder if I did this. Nope. Worst pollen in the country. That's right. According to what I saw on the television this morning, right here in the Bay Area, the worst pollen in the country. And one of the things that I saw, we'll come back to this USF professor that was spewing this stuff. But I guess, for your allergies, if you're like me and, every year you have seasonal allergies and you know that this time of year you're going to have to start taking your Claritin or Zyrtec or whatever it is you use to get through. Wait, where's I going with that? Oh, if you just had those normal allergies, it takes, he said, according to what I saw this morning, 10 parts per cubic meter of pollen. 10 parts per cubic meter. And he said right now in the air is 3,600 parts per cubic meter. 360 times what would normally start setting off a person like me's allergies. So, of course, my allergies are kicking this season. And for those of you that don't normally have allergies, well, some of you are feeling it. Sam, you said you were one of those. You haven't had any issues with allergies in 15 years, you were saying.
Right. I mean, I normally can make it through, maybe a little sniffly sometimes, but this has been full-blown for the past 5 or 6 days now.
One of the guys that were showing on TV today, too, he says, I don't even have allergies, never had allergies, but for some reason my eyes and my nose won't quit running. Good morning. All right, some of the other stuff. Flash, how you doing, buddy? Some of the other things we'll be talking about today. Here's a question for you. I don't know if you guys have seen the video yet or not, if you've seen the story yet this morning, but it is about a father, who is forcing his son. This video may no longer exist. Hell, you better exist. A man. Oh wow, they pulled it down. That's always that always interests me. Like what's the reason why they pulled it down from this morning? So I bet you he's getting threats. I bet you something's happened with the father, and he's pulled the video down and not given anybody rights to view the thing now.
If you go to the second line, it says Brian Thornhill's Facebook Live video. I'm not sure if that link will take you to it.
Sorry, this content isn't available right now.
He might have pulled it then.
That's
if
what
it's
happened.
From his page.
That's what happened. So anyway, damn it. So I don't know if I'll be able to actually find the video, but basically it's a video of a man in his truck, and his boy is running in the rain. It looks like his boy's probably 7-ish, 8 maybe. I don't know, 8 or 9, somewhere in that range. I don't know. And he's making him run to school. It's in the rain, and we pick up at about a mile to go before the school. And he His son was caught bullying, so he is saying that he's teaching his son a lesson. But to me, I go, the first thing that rings my head is, wait, you're bullying your kid to teach him a lesson about bullying. But I'm not saying I'm right about that. That was just the first thing that popped in my head there. And then it was interesting in the video because the man then started talking to the rest of us. Good morning, Mark. How you doing, Samantha? Oh, wait. Hi, Sam. You're right behind me.
Hi.
I am half an idiot. Thank you for joining us this morning, Samantha Miller.
You're welcome.
On Facebook. How you doing, Mark Zallis? So anyway, it's interesting because one of the things that I wanted to point out about this father who then makes it, he makes some commentary about this is what's wrong with America, basically, and that people aren't parenting. They want to be friends to their kids instead of being parents. And this is how you parent. And by the way, I'm not, this is the way the guy sounded in the video that we can no longer view. He says, quote, "If you get your panties in a wad seeing a kid jog, well, I feel sorry for you. You probably need a lap or two." And so he goes, so my point is, we'll come back to the story, but I want you to think about that for a second, is finding out that your kid's a bully, and then you make him run to school the next day with his book bag on, as you follow him in your big truck, recording it to put it on the internet. Is that good parenting? Is that good disciplinary action to get the results you want? Or are you teaching your kid how to bully? And if we delve deeper into that family life, would we get to the root of why your child bullies in the first place? And maybe it has something to do with you, sir. I don't know. We'll come back to that story. And hopefully we can find, but if they pulled it down and there's no rights to it anywhere, but it's it's somewhere. Somebody's already captured that thing somewhere. All right. So dogs in the workplace, we'll talk a little bit about that today. This stems from, two things. One, I see a story about Amazon they say they have approximately 6,000 dogs that go to work every single day with their employees. 6,000 dogs, and that's their community. That's every day at Amazon, I guess, is Bring Your Dog to Work Day. Every day here at Bake More Pies is Bring Your Dog to Work Day. I wanted to get your thoughts on because I'm sure there's got to be some of you that appreciate pets, but just don't think it's appropriate at all to bring them into the workforce. Was that you raising your hand for that?
Oh, no. I appreciate pets, and I appreciate the fact that they are in my workplace.
So we'll come back to that. Martin, the son was kicked off the school bus. All right, so in the story, the son was kicked off the school bus, and that's why he had to walk to school, but his dad stayed behind him and made sure he ran to school in the rain. Listen, by the way, I'm not going to tee off too much on this dad because even if I disagree with what he did in that moment, I'm not a parent yet, but parents, you make those decisions in the moment. You do the best you can. My thought is, if you are doing it out of love, you are doing it out of selflessness, you are doing it because you truly believe it is what is the right thing in that moment, that I can't fault you too much on that. I look back at my childhood, and I'm little, and my brother's little, it's in that 4-5 range or something like that. I only remember, because I do not have a good memory. I don't remember a lot. But I remember the pain and the anger I felt in that moment. Because I guess I bit my little brother. I don't remember that part. I just remember my father biting me to show me how it felt. Well, it left a mark. He bit me hard. It left a mark, and I was pissed at 4 or 5, whatever it was I was at the time. And I went and I packed a bag in my bedroom. I could not reach this. I know that, man, I might not even have been 6. Because as the story goes, I didn't have any underwear with me because my underwear was in the top drawer and I couldn't reach the top drawer. So I packed a little bag and ran away. I stopped at the end of the street, next thing you know, the neighbor's bringing me home, crying. But, my point is this. If in that moment, a different type of neighbor would have got me in that moment, heard my story, and it were today, not 1977, then my father could have ended up in the newspaper or being arrested because he bit me for biting my little brother. And so my point is, if we're far from perfect, far from perfect. And I'm not going to tee off on this guy when we get to the story. We come back to the story. Good morning, Daisha. Good morning, cousin. But we will talk about it. We will talk about it, and we'll keep a level head about it. All right, up next. AI reads brainwaves. All right, so I have some images to show you. And AI is connected to your brain. So they hooked up, just to read the signals in the brain. And then they had the people look at stuff. Then the AI tried to translate just by watching or whatever, monitoring the brain waves, translate that into actual images. Now, they are far from perfect, but they are getting way too close. Which once you see these things, you go, holy shit, we are a year, 2, 3, where you'll be able to hook up AI to someone's brain and then just project whatever images you're seeing onto a screen or something.
That's crazy.
But, well, that is crazy because you know what the next step is? The next level from that, your dreams, getting hooked up with something like that in the night, and then it records, brain activities and show you what you were dreaming and whatnot. So we'll come back to that story, which is very interesting and stuff you should know today. Ex-Russian spy in critical condition right now is a story we'll come back to as well. Stuff you should know. And this is coming out of London. You get a story or 2 or 3 like this every year. They're hard to find. You have to look for because you have to look for them. Because they don't make. You would think this kind of stuff would make headline news because it's like the movies. It's James Bond stuff, but it's there, but you have to look for it. An ex-Russian spy in critical. Now, this is a guy who, I guess, outed a bunch of Russian spies in 2006 as he defected, as he switched sides, and then found a home there in London. So that was 12 years ago that happened, and it looks like it caught up to him, and they found him in a park unconscious. I want to say next to his wife or a girlfriend or something like that. So we'll come back to that story as well. But it's spy stuff. It's movie stuff that's happening in real life. Florida gun vote yesterday. Right? That happened yesterday?
Yes.
Yes. We'll come back to that and what they decided on and how that's going to affect you. Billy Graham holiday. For those of you that were raised as Christians, Billy Graham, a big figure in your world and a big figure in American, I don't say pop culture, because I feel like that's putting him in the same category as Britney Spears. But they're talking about a possible Billy Graham holiday. A Billy Graham, what do you think about that? So Martin Luther King Day, a President's Day, and a Billy Graham Day, Christopher Columbus Day. I don't know. But it did get me thinking that maybe we do need a religious holiday. A holiday that is about freedom of religion. Maybe we like they combine, was it Lincoln and Washington's birthday or whatever to make President's Day. Instead of it being about Billy Graham, maybe it's about once a year reminding Americans part of what this country is founded on. And I know I'm not a religious guy. Matter of fact, I can get a little worked up every now and again when it comes to the topic of religion, but it's not about me, is it? This country's not about me. This whole entire world, this life, this existence is not about me. I'm thankful that I live in a time and place where I can worship whatever God I want or not worship at all and not have somebody drag me out of my house and beat me in a town square or to teach me a lesson. Or, well, I guess that can happen. I mean, officially from the government, nobody's going to drag me out of my house and do something like that. I love that I live in America where this is a great religious experiment. And I think we need a day. So maybe we, in this Billy Graham discussion we'll come back to, we talk about having a day where we do celebrate freedom of religion, which would also include atheists, by the way. Freedom, maybe it's freedom to worship or freedom to believe whatever it is you need to believe to, make it through your life. And then lastly on my list today is a real Black Mirror coming out of China. And for those of you that have followed this series, we have brought up this particular episode a couple of times, and I haven't seen the episode yet.
Oh, okay.
But this is the episode where you vote everybody in society up and down, up or down.
It's
kinda?
basically you have a ranking, like a social ranking,
Right.
in society.
Okay.
And I saw this story, so I thought this was very interesting as well.
Yep. So China is way ahead of the curve on that one. It looks like they're going to be implementing something like this in a few years, but they're already doing some test markets where, it's basically you're getting ranked by the people around you. And
It's a number of factors, like your job, your circle of friends, a bunch of stuff plays into your ultimate score.
yeah, video game playing. Because I guess they have this thing against lazy people, what they consider lazy people, non-productive people. So the more you are playing an Xbox, the more lazy you are. And so your point or your ranking goes down from there. So we'll come back to that story with stuff you should know today.
I think it was his daughter, by the way, on a separate topic with the Russian spy. I saw something just now that it was his daughter with him.
Okay, his daughter. Well, let's go ahead and start right there then. We'll come back to the Russian spy. Oh, I'm not even close. Wait, one more. There we go. Also, good morning, Michael, Todd, Mikey, Moran, Tom, Conway, my cousin Daisha, Mark. Thank you so much for being here today. And at this time, if you could, do us a favor and go to the Wake.Show page and follow. Like and follow. Like and follow is really awesome for us. So like and follow on our Facebook page. And if Facebook Live is not your favorite thing, this is also, we simulcast this. This is streaming on YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, and you'll be able to get the podcast later from Mixlr. You know, one thing that I keep forgetting to look into once I get off the air, Sam, is whether or not Johnny hooked up our podcast through Mixlr to iTunes. Like, are we available on iTunes?
It's a good question.
Is that easy enough just to go to the iTunes podcast and search us? And if we're there, we're there. And if we're not, obviously we're not.
Yep.
Okay. We'll see if. All right. I'm
see.
Screw it. I'm going to do it right now. You guys, entertain yourselves for a second. How you doing, Michael? Andrew. All right. So search the Wake.Show. Nope. Doesn't look like it.
I think that's a bit more of a process than it is to
It is.
podcast somewhere else.
Well, it is, but it's not, something that is insurmountable. It's just another step along the way. I didn't know. So we got to make sure that because we've got enough episodes now, we can publish all of these and be up and running. And yeah, it shouldn't take much time at all for iTunes to clear us. I think it takes like a week or less to get a podcast cleared.
Cool.
So all right, we'll have to make a note of that. This is I'm not good at this stuff. So that's why I got to write it down in the middle of the show, or else I will forget everything at the end of the show. But I don't have any pieces of paper behind me. I am organized. If there is one thing that you can say about me, is that what I just said is a complete lie. On a scale from 1 to 10, when it comes to organization, I am a 0. But trying to get better, right, Sam? All right. I'm using my spreadsheet.
I know. It's all organized, isn't it? It's really nice.
It's coming along. And then my brother has hooked me up with another spreadsheet for the other stuff that we do. All right. So what the hell did I say I needed to write down?
The iTunes.
iTunes. Thank you. iTunes hooked up with Mixlr. Yeah. Oh, and not only that, we have an iHeartRadio account too that we haven't even hooked up yet. So
really?
We could be so you could be listening to us right now on iHeartRadio.
That's great.
Yeah, Cord set that up like a month ago, and I've dropped the ball since. So iTunes and iHeartMedia. All right, cool. So Cord yesterday started talking. Has he been talking to you? He was talking to me about syndication. Like he thinks that this show. Let's turn off this. Damn it. Let's do this. We'll come back to stuff you should know here momentarily. Let's talk about this. Sam, Cord yesterday and over the weekend was talking to me about possible syndication. He feels like this show is at at the right level, where we want it to be,
Right.
And he is thinking maybe we should pitch this to radio. And not just locally, like go to a radio station. Go, hey, listen, we've got this show. Let's make a deal. But he's talking syndication. Like, let's go to Westwood One. Let's go to Sirius X. Let's go to because we have those connections. We have those connections and agents and people that can get us into that world.
Right.
But although. See, here's the thing. I'm sitting here, so it's hard for me to go, oh, yes, yeah, we're ready for syndication. For me, I feel like I'm just now, or just like last week, felt like I'm hitting my stride. Like I'm feeling comfortable in this space where now we can, make the show that we can. But when that moment happened for him, he's like, no, that's all I needed to see. Now we're ready for syndication. How do you see it? I feel like we still need to add a couple of, I don't know, we have to shore up some things.
I agree with him. I think that if you have someone like Cords who is very strategically minded, seeing a future with something like syndication, I think that we should trust his gut instinct, because I feel like he would be the first person to say, okay, we need a little bit more time on this. But if he has confidence behind it,
well,
I understand. I think that would be a great idea.
All right. So, that's
mentally prepare, rub up.
I guess so. Here's a couple of reasons why I'm like, we might be a bit away. We hadn't even changed out the intro. We haven't even got the intro of the show right. You know what I mean?
And I feel like he knows that, and that would be still down the line a little bit. Probably.
So, but maybe it has just a little thing. You fix it, you replace it, boom, and we're up and ready. But here's another thing that before we go down this path, I want to have a meeting with at least you and him.
Okay.
And possibly anybody else who is interested in this podcast or wants to, here at Bake More Pies, that is wants to see this be successful, this show be successful. Because what I'd like to do then, if he thinks we're ready to go ahead and start pitching this to, for syndication, then there's some benchmarks I want to get in place, for instance, here's one. We need to have a podcast of the week where we've got at least once, but let's call it the podcast a week every Tuesday, whatever it is. And we have somebody on that has a podcast out there, and I'm talking about one that's already rocking and is making waves in their corner of the universe. And have them on, talk about their podcast, their approaches, this and this and this and this. But at the same time, because we both know too, at the same time, not only is that compelling content, we are promoting other people like us in our space. We're trying to help us ultimately, I believe.
Yes.
And then, a lot of those are already up and running, and they've got 10,000, 50,000, 1 million people following them. And that can only help us if, along the way.
Right.
All right. So stuff like that. And I want to be able to have one of those things every single day. So just, I think a meeting, shore up those kind of things, get graphics ready to go for those kinds of things. And then I think we're ready to syndicate or whatever it is that he has in his mind there, envisioning.
I agree. I think that's a great idea.
Okay. Thank you so much for watching this morning. Make sure when you get the chance, go to the page. I know that we start this on my personal page, but if you go to the show page, the Wake.Show on Facebook, and give it a like and a follow. Like and follow. Stuff you should know.
That'd be so cool if we got syndicated.
It's a whole different kind of well, that's another thing because hold on, let me turn off the highlighter. If we got syndicated, it takes everything to a completely different level, and we'd really have to get some more hands in here.
Oh,
not necessarily just for the show, but the stuff that we are doing right now outside of the show that's actually making us money. We need somebody there to handle that kind of stuff, or like a producer to handle all. I don't know, something.
Right.
But I mean,
I've been into that since I was little. That'd be awesome.
I know. That'd be a dream come true. Here's one of my mottos, or one of the things that I like to say. One of my top 10 piece of advice, and this is very, very, I think, very true. Be careful what you wish for. You just might get it, and it may not be anything like you thought it was going to be.
Yeah, but no reason why you don't try.
That's right. All right, let's get to this Russian story then, and find out.
I have an interesting story, too, that's not on there that I just found. But we can do the Russian one first.
All right, let's get to this Russian one. So, a man believed to be a former Russian agent convicted of spying for Britain is fighting for his life in a hospital in Salisbury, England, along with his daughter after the two came into contact with an unknown substance. Dun, dun, dun. I'm sorry to make fun of this. These people are fighting for their life, and I'm sitting here joking around like it's a movie. I'm a jerk. Can't help it. The incident made international headlines after the man was named by the BBC as Sergei Skripal, one of 4 Russian spies involved in a prisoner exchange with the U.S. in 2010. Local police were alerted on Sunday afternoon after he, 66, and his daughter, 33, were spotted unconscious on a park bench. This guy was displaying what witnesses described as strange hand movements. What do you think those strange hand movements are? Or
yeah, probably.
just floating hands. He's got the what was it? The Will Ferrell floating hands from whatever that movie was. Not Blades of Glory. Damn it! What was the racing movie? Talladega Nights.
Talladega Nights. Yeah.
Thank you. So, the counterterrorism police are leading the investigation, which is focusing on the identifying the unknown substance that caused the two to become critically ill and assessing whether there is any criminal activity that may have taken place. Come on, man. We already know that you're going to find some radioactive substance in the isotope coursing through their veins. The police have confirmed that a number of emergency services personnel received medical attention after. See, there we go. And then after they responded to the incident, the medical personnel needed to be treated. So you know there's some shit going down. And you know the Russians are involved. Oh, come on. Why can't we be friends with the Russians? The Wiltshire police have confirmed. Now, the pair did not have any visible injuries and was taken to the hospital there. They are currently being treated for suspected exposure to an unknown substance. Both are currently. So here we go. The combination of a former Russian intelligence officer and contact with a potentially poisonous substance has led to a comparison with a 2006 poisoning of a Russian spy who died after drinking tea laced with radioactive polonium at a London hotel. Damn, it's been 12 years. A long-running British inquiry found the Russian state to be culpable and suggested that Russian President Vladimir Putin may have even ordered the assassination. So that's some real-life spy stuff right there.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Let's come back to this USF professor and talk about the pollen in the country right now.
I have something else related to USF as well.
All right. If you're, is it the Picasso thing, Pablo Picasso story?
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. Well, I mean, it would have been cool if it had come
to fruition.
Fruition.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's still very cool.
Yeah. Well, I guess you can go ahead and throw it out right now because it's really just one line.
Just, one line. So I guess Pablo Picasso there was an audio recording back about 44 years ago now, and he had plans to build the world's tallest concrete sculpture on USF's campus, which is super cool because that's my how do you say it?
Your alma mater. You're an alumni.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah, that's all right.
I knew that.
I know.
Go Bulls.
So, also coming from USF, if your allergies feel worse than usual, oh, look at that photo. Look at that. You know what sucked about, watching the story this morning on the news, I think I saw it on Bay News 9 originally, is when they get to the point of the story where they go, but there's a relief in sight. The worst of it, they say, should be over by the end of the month. So immediately in my head, I'm like, oh, cool. But like 0.01 seconds later, as I'm going, oh, wait, we're at the beginning of this month. We're not even a weekend. It's March 6th. Hey, right?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. It's March. We're not even a week in. Oh, well, there is a little relief in sight. At the end of the summer, this should all go away. That is no relief. They're saying the worst of this, we're in the middle of it. So it's not like there's any relief in sight. You are in the middle of the worst of this. And it'll be like this next week and the week after and the week after. And then maybe it'll start to slow down from there. If your allergies feel worse than usual, it's not your imagination. A cold January has triggered the highest tree pollen counts in the country, according to USF health professor Dr. Richard Lockie. enough pollen in the air to affect even those who don't suffer from allergy symptoms. So if you are suffering from allergy symptoms this season, it's because of this, and it's going to last a little while. I have a couple recommendations if you'd like. You can try to go through your Claritins. Zyrtec. Zyrtec is the one that I use. I've gone down this because I get affected by this every single year, and I have found that it seems like Zyrtec works best for me. And then when things get really, really bad, it'll be a Zyrtec in the morning, a Benadryl at night. Then when I wake up in the morning, it's Neil's Med, something like it's those little neti pots, I think they call them, where you.
Oh yeah.
But it's not. It's you actually stick it in. You squeeze it and it
goes. I
goes.
have Flonase, which is I think similar to that.
Well, the Flonase is an actual drug.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is a little packet of basically like saline solution.
Oh yeah, the neti pot. Okay,
yeah,
I see what you're saying.
And then and you just put some warm, water in there, make it just lukewarm, just warm enough, and you squirt it up one nostril. Ooh, that'll be a good video. Yeah, I will show you guys how to do it before pollen season is out. And is it kind of disgusting? It may seem like it, but it's really not that bad. So anyway, it'll be a Zyrtec in the morning, or if you prefer Claritin, something like that, and then a Benadryl at night. This is when it's really bad. I'm talking about you can't get through the day without having fits of sneezing and coughing that are uncontrollable. When I get to that point, is when I will have that regimen. All right, all the trees held off to pollinate until the weather got warm. Then suddenly, they all pollinated at one time. I wondered that. I wondered if the winter that we were having was going to have this effect as it was happening. Good, yeah. Hey, thanks for that insight after the fact. The main culprit this time of year are 11 different species of oak that cross-pollinate through the wind and lead to high counts. Right now, we have 3,600 pound particles per cubic meter in the air. That's tremendous. You only need 10 to get symptoms. You see that? Let me zoom in on this for a little bit for those of you that are reading along at home. Right now, we have 3,600 pound particles per cubic meter in the air. That's tremendous. You only need 10 to get symptoms for people to have mild allergies.
That explains it.
That explains it. That's
explains why I feel bad.
Yeah, that's why your eyes are watering, your nose is running, you can't stop sneezing and coughing and all that stuff that goes along with it.
Yep.
Yeah. I'd be careful too, because if it lasts for a long time, then for some of us, it'll segue into a sinus infection, which sucks. So be careful. Yep. You've had those too?
That is pretty much all I get.
Man, I am so sad that I don't have this video.
I know. I searched for it too, and it's
gone.
Yeah. Even people who have tried to screen capture it, they do that like newsy thing where they don't actually show it. Right. They just like show a screen cap and someone's talking about it.
Right.
So.
Son of a. Lesson learned. I'll start.
You can reenact it.
All right, I'll do the best I can. So here, next up on stuff you should know, because I'm curious in what you guys think, and I think it would be better if I did show you the video, but I'm going to do the best I can. And so in the video, you see a man, he is driving his truck, and you see a child on the road running in front of the truck on the, kind of on the side, on the shoulder or right there on the edge of the road. And he's videotaping his son, and he's explaining to all of us why it is that his son is, Well, let me get to the story. We'll back up. We'll get to the details of the story here, and then we'll come back to that. A father in Virginia who said his son was kicked off the bus for 3 days for bullying made him run to school instead in the rain. And then one of the first things that popped in my head was, is this bullying somebody to teach them a lesson about bullying? Now, I am throwing it out as a legitimate question. This isn't rhetorical. This isn't me trying to be swarmy or sarcastic or say this man did the wrong thing. The first thing that did register in my brain, the way that it did was, is this bullying a child to teach them not to bully? And then, of course, I went to the next level from there, and that is maybe this is very common in this household, and that's why his son bullies people on the bus. Maybe this is common in the household. Just throwing it out there. So, Brian Thornhill's Facebook Live video, warning the video does contain some crude language, recorded while driving behind his son, picked up more than 1.6 million views before it was taken down. Thornhill says they joke that the boy will be either fast or obedient, But so far, we're working on fast. Ha ha ha. Thornhill also shared video of his son's second and third morning jogs along with parenting advice. And he said, quote, and so here's one of the things that rubbed me, I should say, the wrong way. Because it turned into commentary about everybody else and how they raise their kids. And there's something wrong with America. This is the way you should be raising your children. You need to be a parent and parent your kids. You don't need to be a friend to your kid. And so while his kid, who looks like he's all of 9 years old, 9 years old, is running in the rain in front of the car on the way to school in the morning. Now, again, I am not trying to take the feet out from under the sky. I would not do this. I personally wouldn't do this. I don't like this. But if this is the way somebody else wants to raise their child, you know, there's a thing where I feel like, well, listen, man, I'm in America. We try to give you as much, you know, in America, we try to give people as much freedom to do their thing as they see fit. But I do know that we also draw the line when it comes to passing it down from the adult generation to the child to the children's generation. We have a tendency as a country, as a culture, to step in and go, sorry, you've gone a little bit too far here. This is not in that category. The cops don't need to be calling this guy. But is this the best way to teach your kid a lesson? And it might be. And I'll tell you why I think that coming up after this. We don't have any after this, so we'll do it right now. I'll tell you why. This past weekend, my nieces were over, and they are 6 and 8. Damn it. Why am I looking at you?
I was going to say, I'm not sure.
All right. Somewhere in that category, somewhere in that range. 6 and 8, 7 and 9.
That sounds good to me.
7 and 9. And they love Joey and Roxy. They love my little dogs. Let's put Joey up on the screen for this one.
Oh, yes.
And they love to pick them up and carry them around. Well, Joey especially does not like to be held. And put on top of that, he is not comfortable around kids. But he seems to tolerate it. He doesn't snip or anything like that. So we don't really say anything. We try to go, hey, you know, give him some time to rest, you know, those kinds of things. But for the most part, we let him, you know, have at him. Well, we realized at the end of this day that we probably shouldn't do that anymore. That really does stress Joey out. So we were talking about how we were going to try to explain to the girls next time, listen, you're going to have to appreciate him from a distance kind of thing, or pet him. You can get down on the floor with him right there next to him, but don't pick him up and try to carry him around. It just stresses him out, just, you know. And I was like, I don't know if because we've tried to have that conversation with him before, and I don't know that it's going to work. So, hey, David. Oh, I got to come pick up my shirts. I don't think it's going to be today because I have appointments after, but Rosie the Roomba is doing awesome, David. And so we said it's official.
Rosie?
It's
That's perfect.
Rosario is her formal name.
Oh, okay.
But we'll likely call her Rosie.
Does she have a middle name as well?
Not yet.
Okay.
Uma. Rosario Uma Roomba. So anyway, we're
going to leave on that note.
All right. Well, it's nice seeing you again. Thank you for all your help.
You're welcome.
So here's what happened. So here's what we're thinking, because we've already had some conversation with the girls about the manhandling of the dog. So I was thinking, can you have one more minute?
What do you need?
Because I want to get your opinion on what I'm getting ready to say.
All right.
Just one more minute.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. One more minute. I'm sorry. Thank you.
You're good.
So here's what I'm thinking, Sam.
Okay.
This is what I ran by my wife. The next time they come over, right, and they'll come in, my nieces, and they'll go to hug me, the one, Ruby, I'll grab her, she's the smaller one, and I'll hug her, and I'll pick her up, and I won't let her go, right? And I'll just hold, and she'll be like, all right, no, and I won't let her go. I'll just stay there and stay there and stay there until it get, you feel it out. I'm not going to try to, but get to that point where I can make my point.
Major point,
you know what I mean? So then when she gets to that point where she's like, I put her down, and then she'll have that confused look like, why did you? And I'll go, that's how Joey feels when you are carrying him around. He is that stressed out. He's that uncomfortable. So in that moment in my mind, I would be doing the same thing as this guy's doing, because I asked, Is bullying your kid to teach them a lesson about bullying the right thing to do? Now, we can back that statement up and go, Fish, you're calling this thing bullying. It's not bullying. This is good discipline. He is making a point, and it's something that his kid is going to remember. Yes, sometimes it sucks to have to make your child feel uncomfortable. To put it. All right, stop. I've got into my commentary, but I asked you to sit back down to get your opinion on what. So give me your thoughts on if I were to take that tactic with one of my nieces.
I don't really see anything wrong with it. I think that's an interesting approach.
Okay.
Just to make your point. I mean, it would probably be like 5 to 10 seconds anyway.
Right.
You're not doing, I mean, you're hugging her. It's fine, whatever.
Right.
And I think that it honestly, to show her, I mean, she doesn't know. Like, she's young. She doesn't know. Just make the point, be like, hey, the doggy doesn't like this. Then she remembers, and she'll always remember, okay, if Joey's squirming, put him down. All right. Or don't squeeze him.
All right, cool.
Joey has anxiety.
And is it the same tactic that this guy is taking with his son, making him run to school in the rain while he follows him in his pickup truck?
I mean, I don't know, because that's a little bit of a different situation. You're literally exactly mirroring what the dog is doing, just to like do it for like 5 to 10 seconds. This guy's making his kid run in the rain or something to prove a point because the kid got kicked off the bus for, I guess, name calling or doing whatever. So it's a bit different. I don't really know if I have a very strong opinion about either one. Okay. I say parent your kid as you will.
As you wish.
Yeah.
All right, then.
I think that the idea that you have, though, is very interesting. And if she does come back over, I'd love to hear how that works.
Because you don't want to see any stress in that little man's face.
I know. They have such anxiety, these two dogs.
That little fur baby, they're just like their dad. All right, Sam, thank you so much.
No problem. Have a good day, everyone.
So, Sherry, how are you? Sherry Wise, it is good to see your name pop up here. Because still in my head, one day I'm going to be famous. One day I'm going to win an award for something. And after my mom and dad, and whatever it is I think I believe in, that I think it'll be, the next people in line will be Sherry Wise and Mona Best. Because I would not even be on this path today, I don't think, if it weren't for Sherry Wise and Mona Best at about 13, 14 years old, somewhere around in there. And here's how I got into doing what I'm doing, or what I did for the last 25 years radio, and then whatever the hell this is right now, as we pull the story off. I went to try out for football, and I was fat. I was a big kid. At like 12 years old, I was like 5'7", 140 pounds or 150 pounds or something like that. All right, I was just a big kid. And so I couldn't play Pop Warner football with all my other friends. And so I went up into the booth, and to help the fathers there announce the games. And then when they'd take a break, they go, go ahead. I'd help them too, so I'd be a spotter. I'd go, oh, that's, see jersey number 62, that's so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. Well, then when they would go and take a break, they'd say, go ahead and take over. No, that was so cool. The adult would walk out of the booth, and there I am at however, 14 years old. And I might even started earlier, like 13. But anyway, and then I'm calling the game, Here, number 55, Jason Fisher coming around the left end, tackled by, blah, blah, blah. And so that segued into the city of Ocoee, where I'm from, started putting on these dances every 2 weeks. And this was when I was 15 years old. I wasn't quite 16. They said, listen, we'll buy the equipment. You go out and buy the music. We'll reimburse you, and then we'll pay you in pizza and soda every other week. How awesome is that, by the way, Sherry? Because you think about it now, I think that would end up in the newspapers. Local municipality takes advantage of teen, pays them in only pizza and soda. But that was perfect. Although I only got one slice of pizza and one soda because they know I would eat them out of house and home. They were trying to make a couple of dollars, put these dances on. So Sherry Wise and Mona Best were the ones that were behind that initially. And then I started DJing Christmas parties and birthday parties and weddings and then proms and, I even DJ'd the cast party for the movie Casper. Remember that? Bill Pullman back in the 90s, early 90s. So, so stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. Then I through college, I got into, radio, and off we go. But back in the beginning, Sherry Wise, Mona Best. If it wasn't for them, who knows what I'd be today. So thank you, Sherry. David Capote, why is she leaving? She's a good sidekick. She really is. I really like her a lot, David. But unfortunately, she's an employee here at Bake More Pies, and she has a real job. And I appreciate that Cords loans me to her at the beginning of the show. She was supposed to come in really the beginning just to do social media. So once we get this up and running, we have to share it properly and do all these other things to get it out there. And so she handles that. But along the way, notice she's really good. She is a really good, has a really good personality. I mean, on air, yeah. But this is where we are. All right. So what do you guys want to do now? Talk a little bit more about stuff you should know, which has been in my head recently too. Ever since last week when Matt Dom was in here from Masteries. And he was like, really? He pointed out a couple stories. Really, is that stuff you should know? I'm like, no. The stuff you should know stuff is I don't want to talk about. The stuff you should know stuff depresses me. So I just want to kind of bring up some stories that interest me. So we do have an idea. And maybe stuff you should know is something we do very early in the morning. It gets released. And then we come back and do the 11:11 show at 11:11 a.m. Is when we hit the fisheye. What do we call it? What did Michael call it? Fisheye news or something like that. And that will be the stuff that catches my eye. And then we'll have guests and stuff like that. So the show is evolving, and we really appreciate it if you could go to the Wake.Show on Facebook, the Wake.Show on Facebook, and like and follow. She is, David. She is a great compliment to what we're doing in here. I love when I love the show. I feel like we are at our best here at the Wake.Show when she is in here and Chris McCarty is in here, and we've got a great little thing going. So we'll see how it plays out. Next up, what do you guys think about dogs in the workplace? I think it's awesome. It obviously comes with a couple of with a downside. You have to clean up and whatnot. But this stems from a story I saw this morning. Amazon, 6,000 dogs, quote unquote, work at Amazon, according to the company. Amazon revealed that thousands of dogs join their owners at work every single day. Quote, on any given day at our Seattle headquarters, employees share workspace with as many as 6,000 dogs. At Amazon, bring your dog to work day is every day, a long-standing tradition that both Amazonians and their four-legged friends enjoy. Well, it's been nice knowing you guys. I'm moving to Seattle. I want to go work at a place that has 6,000 dogs roaming around, because that sounds like you have a job in heaven, like you might be working in heaven in a place like that. Having a dog, let's cut to the, never mind. Let's cut to my dog again. Now back to the story. But it sucks, because I love dogs, and I think it's cool that we can do that around here as well. But there are people out there that just aren't the biggest fans. They see dogs and cats and birds as filthy animals, which they are. And it just, they start itching and feeling icky, just being, trapped in the same room as one. So I would imagine there are some people who don't like this. What the hell is this little contraption? Look at this. Well, first of all, what we got going? I'm not clicking on any. Chewy.com. So look at this. I'm pulled up an ad, right? This is one of those things that just pop up randomly. And I don't know if that's ad. That's not ad. Oh yeah, ad choice. What is it? What is this? So it's an advertisement for Chewy.com. It looks like stuff for your dog there, stuff for your dog there, stuff for your dog there, stuff for your dog there. And then that looks like a jar of weed. I didn't know canines were into cannabis. But what attracted my eye was, what the hell is this thing? Oh, it's a way to control your dog from the backside, I guess. It's a harness for the back end of your dog, instead of having something around its neck. Okay. Dog-friendly perks at the 30,000-person Amazon campus included designated dog relief areas, poop bag stations, and dog-friendly water fountains. Dog treats are doled out at the reception desk in every office building. And on this, isn't it curious? Do you ever sit back and think about the relationship that we've made with dogs and cats, domesticated animals, especially dogs and cats? It's pretty cool. You know, you got an ape, a great ape like us, and we have become very cozy with what was once a competitor of ours, the wolf. That wolf, we're neck and neck. You know, us and the wolf for hundreds of thousands of years, and yes, we broke away from the pack. Purposeful pun. And we've made them our pets. We've made wolves our pets now. But it is very interesting because it wasn't that long ago. Well, I guess still today, there are plenty of people and plenty of cultures that see animal very separate. They're not pets. They are working They're working animals, but they would never be allowed in somebody's bed. And the thing is, it's not even like it needs to be your dog. We house sit for two giant creatures over the weekend. Our little Yorkies are 8.5 pounds and 7 pounds. And so we house sit for two dogs that are 100 pounds. They're Labradoodles. And my wife was like, all right, yay. Whoa, yay. The more the merrier in the bed. Like, what are you talking about? I'm going to the couch. Next up today. On stuff you should know. This is something you should know. I think this is also my most interesting or second most interesting story of the day. So I'm getting ready to show you an image here. So stop what you're doing because I'm about to ruin the images and the styles that AI is used to. All right. AI reconstructs whatever you see just by reading a brain scan. Now, there was a story last year. I hate putting time frames on things. I am not good at timelines. Sometime in the last couple of years, I saw this interesting story, and it was very pixelated. They had hooked up some, gear to somebody's head, and they looked at something, and then the image got translated just by using the brain waves, and it was a horrible image. It didn't look like the picture itself, but you could see the beginnings of it figuring it out, right? So this is the next level of that. Now, fast forward however long it's been. I don't know, maybe that story was only 6 months ago, and this is where we are. But AI, when you look at this image, okay, all of the images along the top, let me go ahead and pull down the stuff you should know, header, stories, and background. And all the pictures that you see in the top there are the pictures or the images that the AI was, or actually not the AI was shown, that the person was shown. Then they had AI hooked up to the brain, and these are the images that it came up with. Now, they are far from perfect, right? You could never, I don't think you could discern any one of those images and guess, decipher and figure out what it is that you're looking at. But when you look at this in the context of this is just the beginning, and that was just within the last year or two, we're looking at black and white pixelated images, and this is where we are now. Let's go ahead and focus in on just the owl here, because that's got a face to it, okay? The owl's got a face to it. And by the way, why are there three images? I forget why there are three different images. There might be three different AI that were. All right, AI can pluck images directly from a person's brain. Given an fMRI scan of someone looking at a picture, an algorithm can reconstruct the original picture from the scan. Though the results are not yet perfect, they are still often recognizable and hint at what may be possible in the future. What do you mean what may be? What is possible in the future, and what will be possible right around the corner? To continue reading this premium article, subscribe for unlimited access. Screw you. I've got enough to go on. So we'll just go here to see the goldfish here, and then the three images that came out of it. You can start to see, you see the outline there, like it's starting to pick out the fish in that one. It's getting the gold in the background in that one. So this owl here, the same kind of thing. Like if you know it's an owl, you can go, oh yeah, I can see it's an owl in there. But if you don't know it's an owl, then it's just a blob. But you can see how we're getting closer and closer and closer. And the reason I think this is so cool is not only will you be able to hook things up to your head and whatever you're looking at, you can project onto a screen or whatever, or save to a hard drive. But you'll be able to hook stuff up to your head. And then when you're dreaming, this thing will know that you're dreaming and start to record and lay out the images that, or I don't know. I mean, maybe those are two completely different things. Hooking up some scan to the optical receptors in your brain, and that part, it might be completely different than tracking down what your brain is doing or trying to decipher what your brain is doing when you're in REM sleep, whatever sleep you need to be in order to have dreams. It's the Wake.Show. Everybody knows a show needs an intro. This is that intro. All right, it'll get better. It'll get better. The gun debate rages on. Florida State Senate is backing off a complete ban on... Oh, no, this is the marriage thing. This is not the guns. This is marriage. So what are your thoughts on that? Banning... Mayor putting age limits and saying you can't get married before you're, say, 18. All right, you can't legally get married unless you're 18. I don't know, unless parents sign off on it. I don't know. Because again, I don't have any questions about this morally, like what I think should and shouldn't be. And you can't have these child. You don't want these child marriages and a 15 and a 16-year-old getting married because of some whatever reason, and you don't want, like, the most horrendous of these things are these little girls, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, that get raped by an adult, and then because the most important part to the family is that they get married so that she can still go to heaven. And then that guy is never charged with anything because now he's her husband. We want to stop that shit. We can't, So, but this is America. This is where you're supposed to be able to come and be free, no matter what your religious beliefs were, no matter your lifestyle. This is a place where you are supposed to come and be free. Even if I don't agree with it or somebody else doesn't agree with it and thinks it's disgusting and abhorrent. But then it's hard for me to reconcile in my brain that we sit back as a city, as a community, as a town, as a culture, as a country, and allow for what most of us would consider atrocities to take place. So Florida Senate votes to set a 17 as a minimum age to marry. So that's the one we're talking about here. Oh, I don't even think I put that on the list today. I had the gun vote. The Senate passed a bill last month to prohibit the marriage of anyone under 18 under any circumstance, but the House carved out exceptions for 16 and 17-year-olds when they are pregnant. Now, the bill no longer makes pregnancy an issue, but does require that anyone marrying a 17-year-old cannot be more than 2 years older. Good. A minor would need parental consent. Good. Right now, children aged 16 and 17 can marry with the consent of both children's parents. But if a pregnancy is involved, there is no minimum age for marriage as long as the judge approves the marriage license. The bill now goes back to the House to see what's going to happen there. So you see right there in the middle of this is a story that we keep coming back to when we're talking about why this bill needs to be. For years, Sherry Johnson kept silent, but now her voice rings clear in chambers where the state's laws are made. Her unrelenting public pleas to end child marriage are being heard. And then the headline is, Tampa girl forced to marry her rapist at 11 years old. And so this is the story we keep coming back to. It's because of the religion of her parents that they felt like the better course of action was to make sure that now that their 11-year-old girl was no longer pure, she was no longer good enough for God, that they hand her over to her rapist, so that she could then be good enough for God one day. So we got to make sure that shit doesn't happen. How we go about that, I'm not sure. Like I said, I mean, listen, man, it's not that long ago that, we're getting married at, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. And, went on to live, full productive lives. So I understand progress and I understand where we are and what we want for ourselves as humans and what I want for myself as a human. But I think where we draw the lines are very important because, all right, so I'm going to go back to my old religion, what I was raised in, like many of you. And allegedly, according to the beliefs of that religion, man was given free will. That's kind of basically why we are where we are, is because God and Lucifer or whatever couldn't agree on something. Like God saying, "Hey, just sit here and praise me, and you'll be good. Everything's good." And allegedly, Lucifer's like, "I don't know, man. I think that if you gave everybody a choice, they wouldn't choose you." So this is why So this is why we're here, according to some. And so my thought has always been when it comes to this kind of stuff, because we're going, well, you got to stop this. You got to stop these kinds of things. You have to pass laws so that this kind of stuff can't happen. But for some reason, what would echo in my head is, well, this whole thing has played out, or is allegedly laid out for us so that we can play out free will, so that then we can be judged and you go on to the next level from there, wherever, up or down. And so what you're telling me is that once they've laid out a playing field where everybody gets to have free will, what you want to do is take everybody's free will away and force them to do what you think is supposed to be the right things to do in order to get to the next level. So I have a difficult time reconciling that. I go both ways on it. I know what I want out of my society and culture. I know what I want to see out of my fellow human being. But how much of my will do I force on other people? And do we let their decisions play out however they play out and just trust that the universe plays out in a certain way? And whether it's a final judgment at the end or it's the other one? Not Zen, not yin and yang, karma. If karma, gets you as you go, however that works, most of us on the planet believe that there is something to either one of those. And speaking of religion, let's bring it back to Billy Graham now. Great man in our society. How you doing, Jason? How you doing, James? Brother. They're talking about possibly making a Billy Graham holiday, national holiday. Looks like 100,000, tens of thousands have signed an online petition to establish a national holiday honoring the late evangelist known as America's Pastor. Around 7:30 a.m. Tuesday, more than 87,000 people had signed the petition. The petition reads this: Mr. Graham preached the gospel to more people in live audience than anyone else in history. Nearly 215 million people in more than 185 countries and territories through various meetings, including Mission World and Global Mission. Hundreds of millions more have been reached through television, video, films, and webcasts. Mr. Graham's counsel was sought by presidents, and his appeal in both the secular and religious arenas is evidenced by the wide range of groups that have honored him, including numerous honorary doctorates from many institutions in the U.S. and abroad. Help us with the cause of getting a national holiday to remember this great man. I don't have a, like Sam was saying earlier, I don't have a passion one way or another. We have national holidays for all kinds of ridiculous shit. So it seems, I don't know a lot about Billy Graham, but it seems like he led a pretty cool life, affected a lot of people in a positive way. There wasn't any controversy that followed him throughout his career. So good luck, buddy. But, he is a Christian. And I have a feeling if he had a say, he'd go, no, don't make a day to honor me. I spent my entire life preaching against stupid shit like that. If you're going to do anything, make sure it has nothing to do with me. But what the hell do I know? I dropped out of religion a long time ago. I don't have a right. last couple of things I've got today for stuff you should know. If you guys are following Black Mirror, if you're watching that show at all, let's get to that. The real Black Mirror. Inside China's creepy social credit system. Social credit. Meaning you're being rewarded or getting points taken away based on your status. That analyzes internet shopping and social media use in order to blacklist lazy or wasteful citizens and allow those who behave well to borrow money and fly and ride in planes. Oofa. Analyzing users' social media habits and online shopping purchases. The nightmarish system also grants real financial credit to citizens whose lifestyles are deemed to be more wholesome. While social credit scheme will become mandatory in China in 2020, it is currently being tested in pilot schemes, which have been rolled out through private financial companies. The most high-profile of these is Sesame Credit, which has been developed by Ant Financial and uses computer algorithms to score people from 350 to 950. Likened to an episode of, this is something else, likened to an episode of the dystopian horror series Black Mirror, Sesame Credit rates people on factors including interpersonal relationships and consumer habits, including buying video games. It appears the authoritarian one-party state believes that someone who plays a PlayStation or Xbox is an idle person, which means you will be blacklisted. You will be downgraded. So you're unable to book a flight if you're low enough on the list. You can't even book a flight. You're prevented from renting or buying property and are unable to secure a loan or stay in a luxury hotel, reports marketplace.org. I know, it's China. It's not America. It's China. But one of the largest schemes currently operating is in Shanghai, where jaywalking traffic violations and skipping train fares can get you blacklisted. But that's not all. Citizens who do not visit their elderly parents or do not sort out their garbage into appropriate recycling bins can also be penalized and effectively frozen out by the state. Now, here's one thing I couldn't find in the story is how do they do this? Because it's all well and good to throw out the old theory like, whoa, we'll penalize everybody if you're not acting properly. But so are you going to implement this huge Big Brother system where we're watching cameras and every time someone moves the wrong way, it'll zoom in, start recording and send it off to somebody, and next thing you know, their phone goes off and they see that ding 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 ding. They see their bank account going down. Citizens did it. A businessman, Ji Wen, spoke with marketplace.org after he was blacklisted following a financial dispute in which he never paid a debt to a client who sued his company. He was then added to the Chinese Supreme Court list of discredited people. He said, "It hurt my business. My clients didn't trust me. I didn't get much work." I guess their argument back would be, well, then pay your damn bills and this stuff won't happen to you. Not only was Wen banned from going on a plane or a high-speed train, but he was unable to send his child to private school. The same report published in February this year says that since October of 2013, nearly 10 million people have been added to the same list. As the mandatory 2020 date looms, President Xi Jinping has cemented his grip on the power by scrapping the country's two-term presidential limit, making him the most dominant Chinese leader since the murderous Chairman Mao. That's what's happening in China. And my last story, I don't know why I put this last. I'm sorry. It was actually, that was the Black Mirror story was really my last story. This one was more of a, if we got on the topic, or, if it was out. And that is now that St. Pete is bustling, downtown St. Pete, they're starting to get more and more complaints concerning noise. Well, not starting to. It's been like that for a little while. And so, of course, there's that battle. We've got an up-and-coming downtown. All these businesses, we are flourishing now, and the an after effect, and like having a car, right? You love everything that comes along with having your vehicle, your beautiful Lexus. But it doesn't matter if you have a Lexus or a Mercedes or Toyota or a Nissan. There's going to be exhaust. There's a price to pay. There is going to be an exhaust, a disgusting, poisonous chemical that comes out of this little pipe in the back of your car. That's kind of the way I think you have to look at this stuff like downtown St. Pete as things start to grow. Like there's going to be little things along the way that might, that aren't awesome. And the noise comes along with that. Now, I realize there's definitely has to be some limits, some restrictions, because it can get way out of control. But usually, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Because a lot of the people that live downtown can afford to live in those high rises in that area are multi-millionaires. And they're the people that got whoever's in office elected. So, listen, I'm not trying to be anti-resident, but if you move to a downtown of a bustling city, if you were watching, if you were looking at your monitor, you could see me start to twitch. You could see something was happening in my brain. And so I was getting ready to lash out, but there was really one person in my head. And I don't know his name. All I know is he's an asshole. Last year, downtown Orlando, we're doing the Best Damn Race series, just like we did this. This was year number 5. So last year, year number 4. And I'm set up at the finish line, and people are running down the street, right down, downtown Tampa. I'm sorry, Orlando, and crossing the finish line. And I'm, talking about, just being doing what I do. Congratulations, blah, 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 blah. This guy comes right up into my face and starts lighting me up. Calling me every name in the book, saying, we shut this down right now. This is illegal, da-da-da. He didn't know what he was talking about. He was an asshole. Now, there's a part of me that wanted to be sympathetic with the guy. I know what it's like to want to be able to sleep in on a Saturday morning, and all of a sudden you got outside of your door, or, lawnmowers going off, whatever. And it sucks. But that's when I would take a deep breath and go, I'm the one that chose to live in downtown. I can't expect that if I go into a bustling metropolis to live downtown, that I'm going to get the peace I want. If I want that kind of peace, then I'm going to move my ass out somewhere and get some acreage. So that's why you saw that swell in me there for a second, as it seemed like I was getting ready to tee off on the residents of downtown St. Pete. But they're the ones with all the money. They're the millionaires and multi-millionaires. And so this will be interesting to see how this plays out. The noise. And speaking of which, make sure you join me every single Wednesday night at Park and Rec, downtown St. Pete, from 8 until midnight at 11 o'clock, per this article, on Wednesday, or maybe it's 10 o'clock that we shut the windows. Under the proposed rule, the non-residential businesses could be as loud as 75 dBc from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Okay, so it is 11 p.m. Oh, that's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. During the week, it's going to be 10, I bet. So, yeah, so we have all the windows open at Park and Rec on a Wednesday night. We're doing karaoke. Now, I can understand residents why you wouldn't want to hear that until 1 o'clock in the morning. We can respect that. We close the windows up. We close everything up so you can't hear that. And I don't mind turning it down a little bit, but this stuff can get out of control. Like in the article, they're talking about how, even the, what do they call it, curbside or side, those tables that are on sidewalks where people are eating outside of restaurants. They're not playing music. They're eating and cackling too loud. They want to curb that too. That's a go F yourself. That's a go F yourself, because that's just normal human stuff. All right? People having a good time. They're not playing music. If somebody is loud and obnoxious like me, having a good time, and your old angry ass who bought up half of St. Pete and felt like they found their place, a perfect little place to, for peace and quiet. Sorry. If that's what you need, go get yourself some acreage and leave downtown. That being said, I realize there's a line that needs to be drawn and compromises need to be made. Anything else, you guys? I'm talking to you. Before we get out of here. All right. Well, tonight, if you guys are beachside or weather-wise, as I'm sure you have realized or found out by now, tonight we have some a front coming through. Hopefully, it's late. It's pushed back till after like 9 or 10 because I'm going to be at a Boulevard Burgers at 7 o'clock for trivia night. It is packed out. If you want to come out there, please do get there early. We'll start at about 7:05, and I try to get out of there by 8:30, but it's usually more like 8:45, almost 9 o'clock. We just have a really good time. There's a lot of people, and I'm not even kidding. It is filled to the brim. By the time we start there. So if you want to come out, make sure you do so early. And then Wednesday night, we'll see you out at Park and Rec. Thursday night, back at Mastery's Blind Pass, St. Pete Beach for trivia night. Thank you so much for being a part of the Wake.Show, and have a wonderful day.